Okay, so today, some really interesting material from Brett Treasure and Ben Raphael over at Stake Something.
Hmm.
They shared some great stuff on goal setting and specifically how you can use goals as like a secret weapon to kickstart new habits.
Yeah, new behaviors you've been maybe putting off.
Exactly. So we're going to unpack, what makes goals work for sparking change.
Why we sometimes resist them.
Oh, yeah, definitely resist them. And how effective they actually are, according to like solid research.
And the mechanics behind it, how it actually works in our brains.
Right. And then finish off with some, practical things you can actually do to get started.
Sounds good. It's really about understanding the how, isn't it? Not just that goals can help, but how they plug into our psychology.
Yeah.
So maybe we start with something that feels a bit counterintuitive. The idea that working towards a goal actually makes you happier.
It does sound a bit weird, right? Like effort equals happiness.
Well, yeah, but think about it. Making progress on something you want to achieve.
Okay, yeah, there's definitely a satisfaction there.
And there's research backing this up. People like Deci and Ryan, Ken and Sheldon, Sonja Lyubomirsky, they've all shown this link.
So actively doing something towards a goal, learning that new recipe, going for that walk.
It contributes to your overall well-being, that feeling of moving forward.
It's not just about reaching the end goal then.
Not at all. It seems like the process itself, engaging with the goal, feeds these basic psychological needs we have. Feeling competent, feeling like you're in the driver's seat of your life.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if goals are this happiness booster,
Yeah.
why aren't we all just constantly setting goals for everything?
Uh-huh. Yeah. The million-dollar question.
Because we all have things we want, right? Big career stuff, small things like, I don't know, flossing more regularly.
Absolutely. But there's this gap, a real disconnect between wanting something and actually doing something structured about it.
Like the stats show, right? Loads of people have health goals, but way fewer have an actual plan.
Exactly. I think it was something like 66% have vague health goals, but only maybe 25% have a concrete plan.
Wow.
And the stake something material points to a big reason why. It's about failure or the fear of it. When we try and fail, our instinct often isn't, okay, how can I adjust my plan? It's more like,
Goal setting is rubbish. Doesn't work for me.
precisely, that past failure makes you hesitant to even try setting a proper goal again. It casts a long shadow.
It's like protecting ourselves, I guess. Don't set a goal, can't fail the goal.
Yeah, a kind of self-preservation. But it means we miss out on using this really powerful tool.
And speaking of power, Latham and Locke's research comes up a lot here.
Oh, absolutely. Their work is, you could say, foundational. It's huge.
Yeah.
The sheer amount of evidence they gathered is compelling. Hundreds of studies, thousands of people, all sorts of different tasks and settings.
And the conclusion is pretty clear.
Unequivocal, really. Setting specific, challenging goals demonstrably improves performance. It's not just a nice idea, it's one of the most validated principles in organizational psychology.
And it's not just about, like, quantity, doing more stuff.
No, it hits quality too. Better job behaviors, more efficiency, like less time, lower costs.
Okay.
And this applies across the board. Individuals, groups, whole organizations. Doesn't even matter if the goals are self-set or assigned by someone else.
That's pretty significant. So it's this really robust, practical tool for motivation.
Hugely practical.
Okay, so the why is strong. Goals work, science says so. Let's get into the nitty-gritty then. How does it actually happen? How do we go from just thinking about a goal to actually, doing it and making it stick?
Right. So the journey, the path to getting a goal achieved, it seems to happen in two main phases.
Two phases.
The first one is called controlled mapping.
Controlled mapping sounds deliberate.
It is. Think of it as the learning phase. It takes conscious effort, real mental energy. You need a pretty simple routine at this stage, and some kind of predictable reward helps.
So this is that bit where you're starting something new and it feels really hard, like you have to concentrate on every little thing.
Exactly that. And that initial effort, that feeling of difficulty, that's often the big hurdle. People feel that struggle and think, oh, this is too hard. It'll always be like this.
Yeah, I could see that.
But, and this is crucial, that mental effort drops off significantly with practice, with repetition.
Okay, so it's like pushing a heavy door. Takes a lot of effort to get it moving.
But once it's swinging, it's much easier to keep it going. Perfect analogy.
Right.
Because that effortful phase eventually gives way to the second phase, automatic processing.
Automatic processing. Sounds much nicer.
It is. This is when the task becomes, well, automatic, effortless almost. You don't need to consciously focus on it anymore. It feels like second nature.
Like driving a familiar route or maybe brushing your teeth. You just do it.
Exactly like brushing your teeth. You're not thinking, okay, angle the brush, move it back and forth. It just happens.
So how does that shift happen from deliberate effort to just doing?
It happens through repetition. Your brain is constantly making connections, linking your internal state with the external event or result.
Right.
And doing that over and over strengthens those neural pathways. The whole process just gets smoother, more efficient, until it runs without conscious thought.
Okay, got it. So effortful start, then it becomes automatic. Phase 1, phase 2. How do we actually get through that tough first phase more easily? That seems key.
Absolutely key. And that's where the practical tips come in. The Stake Something material offers 4 really solid ones for navigating phase 1.
All right, let's hear them.
Tip number 1 is kind of interesting. It's about outsourcing phase 1.
Outsourcing, like hiring someone to do my push-ups.
Not quite. It means intentionally setting up external structures and supports to guide you through that initial high-effort period.
Ah, okay, so things outside of yourself.
Exactly. Things like setting very specific phone reminders or asking a friend, maybe a bossy friend, to check in on you.
A bossy friend can be useful sometimes.
They can. Or even using like small financial incentives or penalties tied to your actions. The idea is to rely on these external things when your own willpower might be, a bit flaky.
So you're basically creating scaffolding around yourself until the habit builds its own foundation.
That's a great way to put it. And coaching comes in here too.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes a coach, someone a bit removed, works even better than friends or family.
Why is that?
Maybe fewer emotional complications. You might just be more likely to follow through on guidance from someone you're paying or someone whose role is specifically to hold you accountable.
Okay, that makes sense. External structure. What's tip 2?
Tip 2 is about the goals themselves. Make them small, make them specific, and make them weekly.
Weekly.
Yeah, this aligns with how Stake Something structures their mentoring its weekly check-ins. And the research backs this up strongly. Short-term, proximal goals are much more motivating than vague, distant ones.
So break it down. Instead of get fit, it's go for a 20-minute walk 3 times this week.
Precisely. It makes that daunting first phase feel much more manageable. Plus, you get those little wins more often, which keeps you going.
Right, builds momentum. Okay, tip 3.
Tip 3 is all about accountability. Telling other people. Stake Something really hammers this point home.
Okay, yeah, I feel like we hear this one a lot. Why is it so powerful?
It taps right into our social wiring. When you tell someone you're going to do something, you create this social contract almost.
You don't want to look bad or let them down.
Exactly. The example they used was great. If you tell everyone at work, I'm bringing cake on Friday, you're way more likely to actually show up with that cake.
Oh, definitely. Versus just thinking, maybe I'll bring cake.
Yeah, that private intention is so easy to just let slide. Public commitment adds weight. That bit of external pressure works wonders.
Totally. Okay, external structure, small weekly goals, tell people. What's the 4th tip?
The 4th one is maybe the most surprising, but really interesting. It's the idea that ultimately, goals don't care why you started. Your initial motivation isn't the be-all and end-all.
Goals don't care. Explain that one.
It means the spark that gets you going initially, whatever that reason is, it's less important than the act of actually forming the habit through consistency. The Stake Something material had this funny example. Someone started going to the gym religiously, like purely to impress their housemate.
Okay, standard motivation.
Right, but they kept it up for months. Then they found out the housemate was like secretly stealing their socks or something terrible.
Oh, no.
So the attraction vanished. But guess what? The gym habit was already locked in, automatic. They kept going even though the original reason was totally gone.
That's brilliant. So the why can be kind of shallow or temporary, but if it gets you through phase 1,
Then the habit itself takes over. The behavior persists independent of that initial trigger.
wow.
And that ties back to the earlier points, right? External factors wanting to impress someone, a coach, a reminder. They often play a huge role in just getting us started and through that tough bit. The initial why doesn't need to be profound. It just needs to be enough to get the ball rolling.
That actually takes some pressure off, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Don't overthink why you want to start something. Just start and use support to keep going.
Exactly. Get the behavior going, let the automation kick in.
Okay, so let's recap quickly. Goals can genuinely make you happier, just the pursuit of them. We often avoid them because, past failures or fear of failure.
But the evidence is overwhelming. They do improve performance, quality, efficiency.
And getting there involves that tricky first phase, controlled mapping, which takes effort.
But then transitions to automatic processing where it becomes easy, like a habit.
And to get through phase 1, we can use external support, outsource the effort.
Set small, specific, weekly targets.
Tell other people to create accountability.
And remember that the initial reason you start isn't as important as just sticking with it long enough for the habit to form. Goals don't care.
Yeah, love that. So for anyone listening who's been thinking about starting something new.
Yeah, whether it's getting more active, learning something, being more organized, you've got a bit more insight now into how to approach it, maybe make it stick this time.
And if you are looking for that kind of external structure and accountability we talked about, it's worth checking out stakesomething.com.
Right, they have that weekly mentoring program. You set your goals, report back by SMS. It's like $7 a week. Could be a really practical way to implement some of this stuff.
Definitely gives you that built-in structure.
For sure. Something to consider if you want that nudge.
Give it a try.